Every time that you step out of the house, the difference between life and death is, in part, entrusted in a group of rectangular, triangular, and octagonal pieces of metal. It's a sign. I've had road signs on my mind lately because I keep driving over words on the road. In transport lingo, they're called road surface markings that say this. Now take a moment to read these words. What does this road marking say? Leave a comment with what you read here to see if it's the same or different to others. I've always read this as lane 1 form, obviously not the form 1 lane as intended. I'd never mentioned this before, and when I did, it started a debate in my family. So just like the dress, which was blue, and Yanni and Laurel, which was Laurel, if I perceive something a certain way, others must too, right? We're diving into the design and psychology of traffic signs. Because when I tried to settle the Form 1 lane debate, I discovered that road signs suck. Bad signs are everywhere. And when some design choices and some brains meet, everything can fall apart. This video is sponsored by Wondrium. Get your free trial at wondrium.com/BrainCraft. Traffic signs are hundreds of years old. The oldest one we know of is this marble plaque in Portugal that has a lot of words. Despite this, you may not have spent a lot of time thinking about them, but traffic signs are super important. Car crashes are estimated to be the 8th leading cause of death globally, and signs can help reduce the number of accidents. They can literally save lives. When you see a sign, your brain is processing a bunch of different things. The colour, shape, icons, and words. These all add up to guide us to do something, to cue our behaviour. To stop, give way, or slow down.
As human beings, we've been programmed to sort of respond to road signs.
This is Professor Aradhna Krishna from the University of Michigan, who, to my delight, is passionate about signs.
I'm glad somebody cares about road signs.
From a psychology perspective, road or traffic signs are an implicit cue, something we react to without awareness. This is influenced by colour.
Red and green has become implicitly ingrained in us, that when we see green, it's sort of a go signal. And when we see a red sign, it becomes a stop signal in everything.
Quick side note, it's thought stop signs are red because an English guy just suggested that colour scheme for railroad signs in the 1800s. Thanks, Henry? Apart from colour, we're influenced by shape. Stop signs are universal octagons. Rules are circular, warnings tend to be yellow diamonds, and blue rectangles are mostly informational. These implicit cues are important because we don't always consciously notice signs. You can have your eyes on the road, but your mind off the road all at the same time. So a lot of signs work together to prepare our brains. You see one, and then another, and another. Now this is called priming, when our exposure to one stimulus or one thing, kind of like this sign, affects our reaction to the next thing or the next stimulus, like the actual stop sign. So the way that we interact with signs is implicit. They guide our behaviour at a level that we're not even consciously aware of. And this is why good sign design is so important. Signs need to work in a way that guide our behaviour in split seconds when we're on autopilot, daydreaming, or barely paying attention. So if signs aren't super clear or able to be understood quickly, they're going to lead to confused drivers or just be ignored. Bad road signs fall into a few categories. The icons that leave a bit too much to the imagination, the words that don't indicate what to do, those that contradict themselves, or those that aren't clear because they're a bit too artistic. Although the intention of road signs is to be as clear as possible, there's another factor that contributes to how comprehensible they are, and that is you. What's clear to one person might not be clear to another. And things like your life experience, how your brain works, and even your age all contribute. Older drivers need more time to identify traffic signs, and they don't identify newer signs as accurately as younger drivers. So maybe give those slow grannies a break? As well as newer signs, those that are really hard for some people to process are signs with too much text. In a driving simulator study, students were tested on two things: what a sign means and what hazard might occur if the sign is not obeyed. Researchers found that those who scored higher on measures of dyslexia performed worse in both categories and performed worse comprehending text-only signs compared to picture signs as well. Another study found that receiving an audio message with a variable text sign was more effective for people with dyslexia than just seeing the text sign by itself. Given that dyslexia affects 20% of the population, the way that some traffic signs are designed aren't inclusive because they're not designed for everyone. So in a world of bad road signs, how can sign design be better? Moving from fewer text signs to more picture signs is a start, but some picture signs are better than others. Most road signs with pictures or icons use a kind of static image, and they make us aware. But what if they could make us alert? Professor Krishna and colleagues ran an experiment where they designed a bunch of different signs.
So we had these stimuli where one of the images was more static and one was more dynamic.
This change was as simple as tweaking the stride of a horse or the angle of a seesaw.
And the first thing we did was we said, do they notice the sign with the movement earlier?
Using eye tracking, they measured people's responses and found that, yeah, we do notice signs with movement earlier than signs without.
And then the next question was, if they're noticing it earlier, do they react faster? So will they slam on the brake faster if they need to, or will they stop further back from a stop sign? And so we created a driving simulation.
And they found that people do react faster with dynamic signs.
Whenever there is movement, you notice it earlier because danger means movement. Signs with movement work better because we are, evolutionarily tuned to notice them.
What I haven't been tuned to notice is this road marking fiasco. So you may be wondering what is going on with Lane 1 form.
I'm just seeing this for the first time.
If I read it like I would read a page in a book, it says Lane 1 form, but after on a second glance, it's clear you're supposed to be reading it as you're approaching. So it should be form 1 lane.
It's creative, but I don't know how functionally good it is.
In the case of Lane 1 form, it comes down to my brain reading from top to bottom. I can't adjust reading bottom to top.
We've trained our brains to read top to bottom, right? And if you're an English speaker, if you read English, you're reading left to right, top to bottom. That's how our language is processed visually when we're reading. In this case, the designers were thinking, if you're moving quickly, it'll be easier if you read it from bottom to top. But your brain's not just going to make that adjustment. Your brain is automatically going to default to the way that you have learned how to read that language.
Think about how you read the Star Wars opening text. The way it moves just makes sense, right? It'd be pretty difficult to read it from bottom to top.
If you had to rate this sign on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being excellently designed and 1 being very poor design, where would you place it?
I would give it maybe 2. And it wouldn't be a 1 because it's creative. So
Yeah.
I couldn't find any reasoning about why road marking words are painted from bottom to top. Maybe, just like the red stop signal, a guy called Henry decided it was just a good idea and it stuck. But road signs and markings are something we need to be more intentional about in the future. Researchers found that small changes to traffic signs result in self-driving cars perceiving them to be completely different.
They had this stop sign. It was a regular stop sign that had 4 or 5 pieces of reflective tape put on it in what looked to me like a completely random pattern. To us, this just looks like a stop sign with tape on it. To a self-driving car, this stop sign says 35 miles per hour. A car is never going to be able to think like a human.
But for now, for signs to better guide all of our human brains through the world, they need to be designed with more motion, fewer words, and perhaps text that is intended to be read from top to bottom. Making signs more effective for everyone would actually also make them more accessible to people with dyslexia, and maybe grandma too. I find road signs so fascinating because they're a great example of how we navigate through the world below the level of our conscious awareness. You probably haven't spent much time actually thinking about road signs, but I think that we should think about them and talk about them more often and bring them into public awareness. It's the first step in actually combating bad sign design. Here's to hoping bad signs become a thing of the past, something we can all rant and reminisce about on memory lane. If you'd like to learn more about how your brain processes words, I'd recommend watching Language and the Mind from Wondrium, who happen to be the sponsor of this video. Wondrium is where you'll find the answers to everything you've ever wondered about. They have a curated collection of short videos, long videos, documentaries, how-tos, and tutorials that are thoroughly researched and presented by experts. You might discover that, for example, learning a second language as an adult has a protective effect against dementia and Alzheimer's disease, possibly because speaking two languages helps develop the medial temporal lobes of the brain. Wondrium are offering all BrainCraft viewers a free trial. Click on the link in the description below to start your free trial today. I have a feeling that your brain is going to love this place. I started filming this video when I was in Sydney over the summer, didn't finish it, came to New York City and realised that they only have the Form 1 lane road marking in Australia, which makes me wonder why. Curious about what signs you might have in your country that aren't in other countries or things that you've noticed, because when you truly pay attention to signs, you see some pretty confusing and bad things.